In the other Group D matchup, though, aforementioned Chelsea 2, Real Madrid 1. What'd you see in this one?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Real Madrid maybe having that little bit of attitude when they meet Hacken. So Real Madrid, they're pretty much long eliminated from this. They had some bad luck. And frankly, they got beat in their earlier matches. But Real Madrid, they come to Stamford Bridge. They just weren't going to lay down. We talked about it like in the preview pod. They're Real Madrid going to play at Stamford Bridge. Even with Olga not in the lineup, they played with an energy. They did not look like, oh, this is an exhibition, let's not get hurt, let's save it for Liga F or anything like that. They came out there to win the damn game. The only tricky part is Johanna Kaneryd is a Swedish bullet train driving the ball down the field. In the 5th minute, she took the ball. She had to carry the ball 85 yards up the field and setting up a Cuthbert shot right there in the first 5 minutes of the match, and that felt like a bit of a tone setter. I thought Madrid, they tried to play with pace. I'm going to kick it to you because ever since the World Cup, you are the Into the Channel chief Linda Caicedo expert. But man, she plays, and this isn't breaking news, but she plays with such a decisive, speedy brilliance that there were just multiple times in the first half where she was like, oh, Ashley Lawrence is in front of me. I'll take her on. I'll take on Kadisha Buchanan. I'll take on Jess Carter. I'll take on Neem Charles. It felt like she put all 4 of those good to very good defenders in compromising positions throughout the first 45.
Yeah, she definitely put all 4 on her mixtape. She was, dazzling in spots.
Crazy.
Her sort of like start-stop ability is just off the charts.
Yep.
She could just stop and then she's immediately going full speed in a different direction. And you just don't really see that from anybody else. We talked about some of the straight-ahead speed, from like a Baltimore or Chewinga or an Ellie Carpenter. But this is different. This is quick bursts. She's super fast. I think the only thing that gives me a little pause is another NFL comparison here. In the NFL, you kind of have to learn how to fall down and get hit and not fall and hurt yourself. And it sort of feels like she needs to do a little bit better along that very fine but important dimension of the game, which is like, hey, don't go out there and take beatings because that's what players are going to try to do. Sometimes you might be able to take it on because there's a small crevice, but there's like a 50-50 chance that you might take a knee to the thigh or bone on bone or something real nasty. And she took a couple knocks in this one. I think I'd like to see her be maybe a little less daring in those tight spots and maybe kind of preserve herself physically. She did take a couple knocks as well in the World Cup. But once she kind of gets into her own with regard to her game and really wraps her mind around harnessing like her God-given ability and the ability that she's built up with years and years of playing the sport, she's just going to be a nightmare. She's an offense in and of herself.
That's a really good point. And so you have to hope that with age, some of that okay, where am I picking my spots? How am I falling? What's like my out? Almost like kind of like defensive driving, if you think about it. Like, okay, when I run into this spot, like where can I fall safely if it comes to that? Like not looking to fall down. I see exactly what you're saying. I think that's a really sharp point. I will say, staying on the Real Madrid side, Claudia Zornoza, she's fucking great, man. Every time she plays, I'm impressed with her play out of the midfield. Great control, smart decisions, good long passes, creating chances for her teammates. Pretty much every match. But Chelsea did control most of the first half, and it really felt like they ratcheted up the pressure in the last 10 to 15 minutes of the first half. Kind of like, let's finish strong. Let's kind of see if we can get one in before the halftime whistle. And if not, we're coming out of the locker room ready to kind of put this game away.
Yeah, you mentioned the hot start from Kaneryd. No LJ in this game, or at least in the first half. I agree with you. Kaneryd to Cuthbert really kind of set the tone. I put in my notes early. I kid you not. Cuthbert in full on, I feel like scoring a goal today mode.
Yep.
She was just like letting it rip. They definitely made Real Madrid keeper Mylene Chavez do a ton of work in that first half. The pressure was on from the beginning. It felt pretty inevitable that Chelsea was going to break through at some point. But I did want to rewind just real quick. It reminded me when we were talking about Caicedo and her speed and quickness giving Chelsea fits. When we were talking about PSG earlier, I think Chelsea's one of those matchups that, PSG might be a little bit of their kryptonite.
Yeah.
The speed and like Chelsea, I think, plays a more rough and tumble kind of game. But on the back line might be a little tricky dealing with all of that athleticism. But I think that maybe is a preview for another day. But that is is one of those sort of like fun thought experiments that we're going to get into pretty quick here as we approach the knockout stage draw.
Yeah, it's a great point. I won't belabor it too much, but I think that's one of the beautiful parts about football. I mean, you think about, obviously, Chelsea, they're a WSL side. They're based in London. Their manager is English, and Emma Hayes. They play English football. And so then when you go and you play a Real Madrid or you play Barcelona or something like that, now it's a clash of styles, and you have to see kind of what happens. So yeah, I'm totally in on that. Yeah, Chelsea, I can't wait for the draw. I would agree with you. They do not want to see PSG. Getting into the second half, Chelsea took that momentum from the end of the first half. You mentioned they bring on Lauren James. Chelsea puts her pretty much at that number 10 role. Chelsea continued to play long passes into dangerous areas. That paid off when Neem Charles drove the ball into the box and drew a foul from Hayley Rasso. Rasso's played well throughout the tournament, and she's a good player. I thought it was pretty telling. She gave a really half-hearted argument to the ref. She knew what time it was. That was late. It was unnecessary. It was a clattering challenge. And shout out to Flo Pollock, who was on the call. Also, quick side note, Flo Pollock, one of the best Twitter handles. She doesn't seem very active on Twitter, but her Twitter handle is @FootballFlo. Can't do better than that, Flo. Nicely done. But when the foul happened, Flo Pollock was like aghast at it. She goes, "Oh, that's really late." like she knew, right? Like that was a clear penalty. No doubt about it. Rasso knew it too. And then speaking of confident penalty takers, Guro Reiten steps up.
Come on, man.
That's not happening. That's not going any other way. That's a goal. Guro Reiten steps up to the spot. That is a goal. Sent the keeper the wrong way. Completely drills it. It's bottom corner. Nothing any goalkeeper's really doing about that.
Yeah, that one had some mustard on it.
For sure.
Great crowd too at Chelsea. I mean, I think
yeah.
PSG had a great crowd as well, but Chelsea right up there. They were pretty raucous, and I think at that moment, a little bit of pent up energy in the building. Even though they're kind of in the driver's seat, but I think they wanted to see a performance, and they got to like really let loose after that Reiten goal. And yeah, absolute no doubter.
Oh yeah, I'll say I've been known to overthink some things, and we joke like, "What does this sport need? It needs two American bros talking about it." I will say, when you talk about the crowd there, something makes me laugh. I want to know. I want to see what the guy looks like. Likely he's a West Londoner. I want to see the guy. I want to see what the guy looks like who's doing that chant that I fucking have heard for so many, that "Come on, Chelsea, come on, Chelsea," with that fucking London accent that he has. I want to know what that guy looks like. I want to meet that gentleman.
And how did he get a seat right next to Flo Pollock? That's what I want to know.
For the love of God, he's so loud. He's so loud.
Oh, my God. Yeah, but, he got him going.
There you go. So Chelsea held the ball. They kept the pressure up after that goal. But another Real Madrid player, Athena Del Castillo, she gets Las Blancas back on level terms. Caroline Møller-Hansen, she plays a great long pass across the field. It's like diagonal, cutting completely across the field. Yeah. Hits it to Hayley Rasso, who is able to fire a shot. Keeper couldn't hold it, and Castillo is right there to bang it in the 69th minute. I mean, the pass from Møller-Hansen, that's the piece to me.
That pass from Møller-Hansen, the only thing I can compare it to is prime Tiger Woods just smacking a ball right down the middle of the fairway, just beautifully, like, oh, right there's where you want the ball to go. Right there's where the ball is going to go. You just get to watch it.
Beautiful.
It looked like a painting, just watching like the camera angle too. Like there was just, that perfect channel right there. And you just get to watch the ball just like a Tiger Woods drive.
That is such a great point. There was something satisfying about the ball flight, to use a golf terminology. Like it was just like, It was just like flying through there so gracefully. They draw level on that. But even then, it still felt pretty short-lived, just because Chelsea looked the better side. This was not exactly a worldie of a goal, but Chelsea continues to stack on the pressure. And what do you know? Erin Cuthbert, she hits a hard shot. Anything she's doing, it's going to have pace. It's going to have aggression behind it. Chavez gets her hands on it, but then essentially pops it in her own net. Because if Erin Cuthbert is running at you and then kicking a ball at you as hard as she can, you're just kind of like, oh no, whoa, like what am I going to do? And so she ends up popping it into her own net. The goal was the winner, and this might sound weird. That was the winner, but it didn't really feel like the difference. It felt like the difference was And, we have some bias here. We talk about Lauren James all the time. When Lauren James comes on in the second half and she's just dragging defenders whichever direction she goes, and then you have all these other threatening players that we've mentioned on the pitch, it felt like the difference was just that Chelsea, as it stands right now, is a better squad. But it's interesting to see. I think they call it an own goal on Chavez, and they didn't give Cuthbert credit for it. But it felt like the difference was bigger than that, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I was just really appreciative of the Cuthbert. I'm going to muscle this ball to the goal.
100%. Yep.
And like I said, she just had that look in her eye. She was just like, I'm getting a goal today, one way or the other. I'm going to put my foot on the ball, and the ball's going to go in the back of the net. And she got it done. ITC starting 11. No regrets there.
Hell no. Hell no. She deserved to be in any. The fact that she wasn't even nominated, again, we support any players' associations. I support any players' unions. But FIFA Pro, come on, man. Come on. Like Erin Cuthbert, she has to be in there. Too great of a player. Too much of an engine for one of the best teams in the world. Save that for another. Go back and watch our ITC starting 11 from 2023. Why not? I mean, we reference it. I think we put together some good squads. And as my guy Dino said on Twitter multiple times when FIFA Pro published their starting 11, that squad, no chance against either of our teams.
0.
That's a 2-0 win.
Easy.
Yeah.
Home, away, doesn't matter.
No, neutral, whatever. Anyway, we digress. So Chelsea, they're guaranteed to advance heading into match day 6, but they got to play Perry FC. And we've already talked about, Perry FC, they're going to need to come in there and win that match. The reverse fixture was on match day 1. Chelsea rode a Sam Kerr hat trick to a 4-1 victory. Obviously, the news about Sam Kerr really sucks. It's devastating that she suffered that injury. But in the famous words of a Baltimore-based businessman, Slim Charles, the thing about the old days is that they're the old days. And this is not the same Perry FC.
Hell yeah.
They have grown in confidence. I think they're going to come in here and honestly, you mentioned Chelsea has other competitions to worry about. Chelsea might look at this as some time to rest. I think Perry FC, I will make a prediction on this one. I think Perry FC is going to win that football match.
Wow. That would be huge because that means that Hacken has to go to Madrid
and win. Yeah. Which I think is super live.
I mean, just get me there. Just fucking get me to these matches already.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. So Chelsea, they've clinched the 1 spot. Like you said, they're not going to have a ton to play for when they take on Paris, but we'll see. And as a reminder, Hacken holds the tiebreaker over Paris FC. So Paris FC is going to have to win this game against Chelsea and hope that BK Hacken is unable to win on their trip to Madrid. And then in that instance, Paris FC might actually sneak into the quarters. High drama in Group D.
I mean, it's hard to even rank them 1 through 4. I think we could probably rank the groups in terms of drama 1 through 3. Ranking them 1 through 3 is pretty difficult. Not a ton of drama in the next group we're going to discuss. But in terms of groups B, C, and D, hard to parse like what's been the most exciting.
I mean, I'm in the tank for Group C. It's just been a freaking roller coaster. Even after the 9th match of Group C, still on a 0-goal differential for all the teams.
That's pretty incredible.
PSG's 3-1 over Ajax for it to knock it off of 0 all the way across the board.
Yeah, that's wild. So if you made me choose, I think I would say Group C, Group D, and then Group B, probably in terms of like drama. But then the level of interest, I'm just so in the tank for Braun and Group B that I'm so locked into those matches.
Group B, though, is we pretty much knew that it was Lyon and Braun.
Right.
Pretty early.
Yeah.
Group D's had some intrigue too with Paris FC coming out a little bit late.